and welcome everybody. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is This Week in Prophecy. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast today. I hope everybody's doing well. And this has been just one of those fun-packed weeks. It's so much going on that, sometimes you just wonder, can anything else happen? So I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, folks, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you are watching us on Godstream, thank you once again for watching us on Godstream. Check out all the I think we're up to this is like the 16th, 17th show or something we've done. So if you want to go back and check out all of the previous broadcasts, we got them in the archive on our Godstream channel. Want to bring on our co-host for the show, folks, and the one, the only Aaron Newton. Aaron, how you doing, David?
Hey man, what's happening? I'm good. Just going through the days,
Going through the days,
pieces of
huh?
the puzzle together.
I know this
Yeah,
has
that's
been.
it.
So how's your week? We actually went to church again to get together this weekend for a mutual friend of ours, Pastor Tommy, who does another show with us, Christ and Culture, and got a chance to. You brought him a word there at the church. I think you thought you'd just sneak it in there, no one see it, but I heard you give a word there. So give me your thoughts on what the service is like, because it was. I think it was probably one of the first we've done together in quite a while.
Oh, that was great. You gave that testimony about Sue. I mean, who doesn't love to hear somebody healed from cancer? That was amazing. And and then his message was fantastic. It really was. It was. I think I even sent you a message. I did. I sent you a message during the Christ and Culture show. I said, "What a great name for his church," because his word was on fire. It was really good. I thought, you know, um, man, it's not just a flowery like, hey, I think we talked about this before. God loves you. Read your Bible. Okay, be a good person. And it was like, look, man, here's what's coming. Here's what's happening. God is moving, and there was a lot of people there that I never met because it was his church and our church together, and I was just really to see all those youth from around the country come and show up for this one meeting. It was really awesome. It was really
Yeah,
good time.
the
Good
fun
time.
thing about it is many of those kids had never met each other. That's the
Yeah.
internet is such a an impactful thing, because it brings people together
Mhm.
that you may never have met, and all those kids, like you said, came from all parts. They were New York, Atlanta, all these places, but they met online, and they'd been together for like the last couple of years. And this was the
Yeah.
first time many of them had ever even been in the same room physically with the other person, which is just remarkable. So, Viva.
Yeah, he said he started it during COVID, right? And so they've all been having church online at the beginning of COVID or whenever it was in the middle of COVID. And this is the first time that they actually met each other in person. That was awesome. It was a good
Yeah,
time.
I think so. I think so. Well, great. Well, there was a word. Now you, many of you, this might be the first time you're watching this show. The Lord has been using Aaron um, in the prophetic movement for a little while now, and so this show is really all about prophecy. What is the Lord showing him on a weekly basis? And one of the other things before we get into some of the prophetic the things that the Lord's given you is that we started a study on the prophetic on Wednesdays. So we want to invite you out. We won't be doing it this week because we're actually having a movie night tonight at our church, or this week at our church. But the following week we'll have it. So if you'd like to join us in Las Vegas for a study in the prophetic, where we're actually doing some activations. We actually did activations last week. We encourage you to come out. We'll leave some information at the end of the show, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But Aaron, give me your insights into especially in the activation that we did last week, because it was probably many people are prophetic, but to actually experience the activations and trying to share that with other people might be new to other people. What did you think about that?
I thought last week was really good. I'll be honest. That was the first time I met Pastor Tommy and his friend Pastor Sweeney from California. And so when we sat up there, I felt a bit nervous. I'm like, okay, now I know Sherman, and he knows me and he understands me. He's known me for a long time, and he just knows how I am. And so I felt a little nervous, like, okay, you know, um, I'm going to be talking to some people that don't know me, and they don't understand. And so I really felt, gosh, I felt the Holy Spirit moving. It was good. And Pastor Tommy came after me and he's like, "Man, I just have to tell you, like, your gift is real." And to me, like, I needed that at that time. It's like, sometimes you can get down almost, or just kind of like, am I doing the right thing, God? Am I doing the right thing? Am I putting out the way you want me to do? Am I walking the path how you want me to do it? And when he came and said that to me, I thought, okay, thank you. I needed that exactly at that moment to say, and for it's just a confirmation for God to say, just keep going, you're fine, and just to see people's minds kind of open up to what's happening around. It's not only just like trying to get people to understand how this works for me or for you or whatever, but also to say, like, wow, there's so much more going on around us. And it's about discerning the time. What season are we in? And so I really felt that message to your congregation and those people that were there. It was needed at the moment, at the time, for people to see that the church is more than just Sunday sermons, or whatever it is. It actually is a part of the world, in a sense that we have to battle these evil taking over, or darkness, whatever, however you want to coin it, right? We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but in the spiritual. And so we battle in the spiritual, and just to get people to see that there's more to church than just coming and listening to a word. It's involvement in the community of prayer, and praying for your nation, your state, your city, your county, whatever it is. And those things change. They change things. Things get done.
Yeah, I think you're
So I
right.
thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad because it was, and I think it was a first for a lot of people. Who and that's good. I mean, it's such a great thing. We asked Pastor Sweeney, and the first time I was ever met him myself. He came from California, came to be a part of the celebration this weekend for Pastor Tommy's church. I asked him, "Hey, do you guys do this in your church?" And I did it for a specific reason, and it's because I was kind of feeling out how, because many people in the church, it's kind of like miracles or like healings. D- d- uh, is everybody accessing this? Is everybody experiencing the fivefold ministry? And the answer probably is no. Probably most people are not.
Mm.
And there's a lot of pastors that this might be their first time even getting into this, and they're going, "Oh my gosh, this is different. This is something I've heard about, but I've never experienced." And so exposing them to something like this is probably a good thing. So I'm hoping to invite them back again, which would be great. And it'll be maybe even start something that will be a wave. Amen.
Yeah,
So
hey man, I believe that. I think that I that's what I thought too. That was kind of the reason why I was just a little bit nervous. Like, do like you said, some people in the church, they just don't want to hear it. It's just, no, I don't, we don't need that, is what people say. I don't need that. But the Bible gives us example after example after example of things happening that are just miraculous. And it seems like the heat is being turned up on his church um to start being a Jew and a Greek. I think I explained about that last week or something. But you have to take the knowledge that you get from the Bible and connect it with Jesus on the cross crucified, which is resurrection power, and put those together. And so Yeah, I think that's it was really good. It was
Just
awesome.
in great, and before once again, just and we will get to some of the prophecies that and some of the visions that Aaron had, but just to kind of put a punctuation on this event that we were at this weekend. um, I don't know, 12 kids, 8, 12 kids, something like that, came from out of town. Got to pray for them, and the Lord, and I was led by the Lord to speak, to prophesy, because the Lord was giving me words of wisdom for these kids. So one of the things that we were talking about here on the broadcast, and you'll probably hear if you come out on Wednesdays, different kinds of prophecies. There are different kinds of ways that the Lord uses. And in Aaron's case, Aaron is the Lord uses him with visions, so he has dreams, and we talk primarily about that on this show. But the Lord will use you in words of knowledge, give you words of wisdom, blah, blah, blah. There's I shouldn't say blah, blah, blah. There'll be different ways that He'll use it. And in my case, it's generally words of knowledge, in that the Lord will have me come up to somebody and I'll be able to, tell them what's the Lord is, either something going on in their life or something like that. And one kid, the Lord, when I walked up to him, his hands were like this the whole time. He was like, just tight, and the Lord was going, grab his hands, get his hands apart, because he was like just like he wanted to hear from the Lord, but he was so nervous, and I said, just open your hands, but the Lord wants to speak into your life right now, and it did release, and the release that came out of that kid, it was like. So I have to tell you. So this is kind of gross. I have to get my suit dry cleaned because it was such a release. And this is a big kid. This is a kid 6 foot, big kid, big burly kid, right? And he was crying like a baby, just like a baby, and it was glorious, man, just glorious. And Pastor Tommy, who I've since spoken with, said that these kids were so touched by that, and that's the value. That's the value of prophecy, the prophetic, because the Lord will give you things to speak into the lives of these kids, and it's not just, hey, the Lord wants to pray for you. Let me touch your head, a general prayer. It's very specific. It can be very specific about what's going on in their life, and that makes a difference, because people are going, oh my gosh, you just read my mail. How did you know?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
That the first kid when you had said, "Hey, come here, help me pray with this kid," and you went, and I was still sitting with him, and he was just had his hands up, yelling, and I like walked back, and I'm just like talking, and just the Lord was like, tell him now pass this on to the next person. So I went up and whispered to him, and I was just like, now pass it on to the next guy. And then I went back and like was talking, me, I'm just a social butterfly, but I just
sure.
I'm like walking around the room. And anyways, yeah, it was awesome. It's so to feel the Holy Spirit just sit down in a room and like, crying, and like that guy he was yelling at the top of his lungs, man, with his arms up. And I'm just like, yes, finally,
Hallelujah. Isn't that good? It's good stuff, man.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, praise
it
God.
was really good.
And so once again, folks, not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, um, Aaron will be with us over at our church at Sagestone Church, and we're talking about his study in the prophetic. Very excited about it, and you get to find out a little bit more. Hopefully, we'll have the video working this time, and we'll be able to play a little bit more. So, Aaron, we were talking about prior to the show a couple of visions, dreams that the Lord had given you, and one of them I think is really you. Let's start with the one, if you don't mind. It's for July 28th of 2024, and I know you said you
Okay.
wanted to talk about this a couple of weeks ago. Let's talk about it now, if you would. Go ahead.
I did. I had it on the list a couple weeks ago, and this week, while I was praying and just spending time with God, He's like, "You need to make sure you talk about this, because He always gives me what to say, what to, remember this throughout the week." So I make a little list of all these things that we're supposed to talk about, and I have to admit, I went back because I didn't make a running list of what we've been talking about. And so I went back and marathoned all these shows and made my list. And I saw this one, and he was, like again. So I was like, all right, good. I didn't say it on the show because I need to say it. So this is the 28th of July this year. And so 2024, I was walking through a warehouse, So let me just give you a little bit of context about this. I'm walking through this warehouse and it is huge, and I just see tables, and on the tables are these little crates, and I don't really notice them at the beginning, but I just noticed this warehouse is huge, and so I'm walking through this warehouse, and this man was showing me around, and he said, we're getting ready, we're getting ready for this," and I'm thinking like, what are you getting ready for? But but it he said, we're getting ready, that everybody's excited, everybody's kind of happy, and but he said it was almost a disaster. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, what's going on? Then, right when he said that, I saw these men like dressed in suits, kind of, I guess, and they were bringing these two guys in, sat them down, and handcuffed them to the chair, to these chairs. And so they're sitting in the chair, and I see one, and he's got his head down, and he's like, "Oh, I got caught." And the other one just turned right to me, and he's staring at me, and it was the weirdest thing. Like, he watched me as I'm walking by, and he's staring at me, and he said, and it's like he's like, "I know you're dreaming about this right now. I know," and I'm just like kind of freaked out. Like, it's almost like, do you know, what astral projecting is? It's a
Yeah,
it's
sure.
like a kind of a satanic thing where
Oh yeah.
people astral project into regions, and they cause like maybe a spirit of alcoholism, or whatever it is, and it's a real thing. But anyways, it was like he had did that into my dream, but got caught, and he knew that I was dreaming about this situation. And he just stared at me. It was just such an evil look. Now, was he really in my dream? I don't think so, but um I think that it was what's happening is part of this grand evil plan. And this man, the reason why that one man like looked at me, and I knew that he knew I was dreaming, and it's darker than we think, kind of thing. And it's not just um people doing bad things because they want a outcome. There's like real darkness behind this. And so it just like, I wasn't afraid or nothing, but our interaction in the dream was just so intense. Anyways, so I'm walking through, and then I see the crates in the like when mailman, if you ever seen inside a mail truck when they're delivering mail, they have those little plastic, but that looks like cardboard crates that say U.S. mail on them. And so I saw all these men that were in there, and they were spray painting over whatever it said. Like, they were changing what these men were doing. They were spray painting over the mail crates, and they were folding the crates and spray painting over them. And then, like, everybody in the room was just excited. Like, yes, this is not going to be a disaster. And they're spray painting, and then I knew that President Trump was involved in this uncovering of this plan. And then I woke up.
Isn't that interesting? This is simply interesting. So at first we're seeing what sounds to me like an unveiling of something bigger than we actually are seeing. And then we all have, ideas of that. Hey, guess what? There's like this, I don't know, secret or thing that's going on in the background, but we don't know how big it's going to be. And one of the things I'm hearing you saying is that it's bigger than you think. Um,
Yeah.
and so the word, we did a study on this a little while back, and it was putting on the whole armor of God because we don't, because we're trying to fight a spiritual battle, and that spiritual battle is bigger than we think, and that's why angels are sent out, doing their thing, because that this battle is, we're waging a global spiritual war, and we're trying to fight it with our hands and feet. That just doesn't work that way. So I love the revelation that we need to wake up and need to start looking at this thing.
Yeah.
Because I think all too often Christians are trying to fight, and we're fighting with one hand when we should be fighting on our knees, right?
Yeah, he
So
gave you a full armor,
yeah, the,
sandals, breastplate, shield, sword, helmet. Not just some people just take the sword and that's it. But they can't block the fiery arrows. But you have to have both your faith and the word and righteousness and peace and knowledge. All these things come together to make a full suit. So it's in a
and
spiritual
if we're
sense.
uncovered in any of those, that's why the Lord gave it to us so we can be covered. But unfortunately, we just kind of go there. We go there without all the stuff we need. We just um, the second part of this dream of this vision you had talked about mail. It really, so describe that again. Was it mailboxes or were they crates or what do you think they were?
No. They were, like I was saying, when the mailman picks up mail to be delivered, he fills his mail truck with those little. They're like little crates. Like I don't know how to explain it. They're
Yeah.
just
Oh
little
yeah.
small crates, and then in those little crates is mail and whatever. And that's what they were. They were just a whole bunch of them stacked up, and it's just it was. I knew it was mail crates. Like that's what it was.
Okay. And it's funny because so I send Aaron, stuff that I might have seen during the week. He's probably already seen all this stuff already, but I'm thinking, boy, this would be kind of cool to talk about this, that, or the other thing. And one of the things I sent you to take a look at happened to do with mail, and it happened to do with that mail was being these two particular mailboxes, these drop boxes, have been firebombed, and they were the first one. They said that it only affected three um, pieces of mail that were there, and these are ballots to be voting for. And the second one, it was about 100 of them that were actually affected by it. But here's the interesting thing about it, though. This wasn't just any old mail, though. These are presidential ballots. So who's running for president? Donald Trump. And you happen to
Right.
mention Donald Trump in your vision, that something that his name was on it and everything was going to be all right. Am I getting close to that? That you're saying that
That's what everybody was super excited. They said, everybody was happy. They said it was almost a disaster, is what they said. And so, yeah, just
so it was almost a disaster, but it was all right. And
yeah,
I hate to infer things they're probably not there. Okay, but this sounds pretty. This is pretty close to saying that there was, because the similarities are, and you had no idea what I was going to say. I sent you this stuff. You had this vision on the 28th of July. I sent you
right.
word about this yesterday night. So you had no idea that this had anything to do with each other. And
Yeah, I will say this though. With this, you got to take. I whenever something happens, and I really think we should maybe on a show talk about the dreams and actually that have come true and the way they came true, because when I say it's almost a disaster, it doesn't mean that, oh, yay, on election day, everything's going to be fine. It may be that there may be some court cases and some things found out later, but it was almost a disaster, So, um, just, but basically, in the end, right? Because a lot of people will say, oh, Kamala won. Oh, that was false. That was fake. That was false prophecy. Oh, fake, false prophet. But it's not in your timing, and it never works out the way we think it is, but it will work out eventually, kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. you
yeah,
know.
sure. So yes,
Yeah, this is just what
yeah.
I
Just for clarity, though, we're not predicting who is going to win the election. We don't know. Nobody knows that. I mean, Jesus knows. God knows Himself, but we don't know. Even the pollsters say, "Oh no, we know." Yeah, but nobody knows who's going to win this thing at this point. Um,
or even how it takes place, or even how it does come about.
Yeah, because we're probably going to see him. We've got like basically a week left, right? But basically about a week before the election. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen because there's a lot of people who are who are out there putting it on the line, and they're saying that they know they've heard from the Lord, but we have not heard from the Lord over here. So unless we hear from it from Aaron or and the Lord never speaks to me that way. So the Lord speaks to me about the Dallas Cowboys, and it's generally you guys are going to lose, and so that's the only time I hear from the Lord about sports or anything like that. So, we'll wait. We'll have to wait all together on this. Okay. Um, let's go back up to the one. You had one on April 23rd, and which was very interesting because do you mind me reading it, and then you can expand on it if you don't mind.
If you like.
Yeah, and he says I saw teachers being taken away, and they were saying, we're on your side. I never taught them any of that stuff. What do you mean
Yeah.
by that, Aaron?
So this was it's that half asleep, half asleep, half awake type of thing, where for me it's always that moment where I'm just about to wake up, right before your eyes open. I'll have these visions. I one time I saw the flag of Nepal. So I watch the news about Nepal. I would look at Nepal news and like what's going on over there. Was something I need to pray about? Well, I'll just pray for over the people in Nepal. Okay, and then or I one time during that time I heard a pinball machine making noises, right? So um, I don't know what that means yet, but eventually something will come about. So this was that half asleep, half awake moment. He showed me this, and there was women. She was a short woman, maybe like 5'2", blonde hair, and the police were taking her away, and she was telling them, like, she was looking at the policeman, and she was like just this begging, like, I never taught them any of that stuff. I'm on your side, like basically saying I never indoctrinated any of your kids in this agenda that we had. And so I have to say, I see a lot of the let's the oh geez, Clark County, their union stuff and the things that they endorse is just horrible, horrible. And so, as a matter of fact, I was sent one today. Let me just use this example, seeing as oh my goodness. So here is something that they were endorsing. The Clark County Union was endorsing. It was titled "Pregnancy and Sexual Health." Uh, A to Z Women's Center fees for services, Spanish speaking 1 day services, safe abortion services from 6 to 19 weeks, abortion pills, choice of IV medications, anxiety and pain control, urine and pregnancy testing with immediate results, birth control pills, or the Depo shot, ultrasound exam for all abortions and all patients. And this is what the union is worried about, not teaching our children how to be good citizens. We got to make sure abortions are set. This is the Clark County, teachers union. So,
Yeah.
or Nevada or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
so in that dream, that woman was being taken away, and the police were like, they just didn't want to hear it, and she's just begging, like, I never taught him any of that. I just so yeah, it was really this was really heavy. So,
Yeah,
anyways.
that it disturbs me also. It's almost like um, people getting out of their lane. There used to be a time when a teacher's job was to read reading, writing, and arithmetic. That was it, and that was their job, to teach them so that they could go in any part of America and be able to read, write, and do arithmetic. Okay, that was really their whole job. And then it seems like all of a sudden somebody got the bright idea, no, we need to actually teach them how to um, think the way we think. Not how to think critically, but to think the way we think. And now they're providing services, social services, so that they can live the way we think they should live also. And it's this kind of weird social engineering that you're seeing happening in America. And it's not just in America. This is happening all over the place. And so for a teacher to say, hey, I never taught them any of that stuff. is just kind of flies in the face of actually what they're doing. And I work for the school district, and one of the things that I do is I help the kids, and I don't teach them how to live. It's not my job. I teach them how to get through their reading and their writing and arithmetic. That's it. I'm not, but that's kind of a scary place to be at when you start taking on the role of mom and dad in society. So what happens to the role of mom and dad?
Well, you know what? Man, I tell you what, if people would just look at the history of the world, or just how, like, things that we know were evil, evil regimes, evil things. Okay, World War II, Hitler. His biggest thing was to indoctrinate children to be good Nazis, right? He was worried about the children most of all, right? If we get them when they're young, when they grow up, they'll be good Nazis. And so, like, the fact that you're just seeing this over again, but it's a different plan. Like, we're going to do it a different way this time. We're not going to just, the government or this country wouldn't just go along with Nazism or whatever their end goal is, right? But they will slowly over time, drip, 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 all of these things that they're doing, abortion rights, right? All these things, it's slowly dripped over time. Oh, if we get rid of abortions, they're just going to take away your freedom, and you'll just be stuck at home. Like, okay, but the drip, the slow drip. So now the teachers union, and they're endorsing these things, and they're like, we're putting out these services for, I just, it's, you've seen it over and over again, but people just don't want to see. They just like, nah, this is my right, this is my right to choose. You can't tell me what to do. Nobody's telling you what to do. They're saying, just study the past to see what's coming in the future.
Yeah, there used to be a time, and I love the way you say it's a drip, drip, drip. They call
Yeah.
it progressivism, right? So progressivism is all about take little steps as opposed to big leaps, right? What you'll have is you'll have people, their end goal is here. I mean, it's way over here someplace in left field. And they say, okay, guess what? We'll see how much we can get over time because they're not in any hurry. They've got an end goal. Their end goal might be 200 years away, but they're going to get what they want. So you can imagine the schools now is their end goal is what? Is it's not reading, writing, arithmetic. It's to have your kids and indoctrinate your kids on what they want to see a society to look like. So they just do it slowly but surely. So now you've got kids in school where when you and I were kids, okay, and I'm a couple years older than you, just a couple years. But when I went to school, the problems we had in school when I was a kid were nothing compared to what we have in school today. And I work in a school, so I know this. Okay, when I was in high school, we had certain problems, but when I was in junior high school, because I work at a junior high school right now, when I was in junior high school, we didn't think about girls. Well, we did, but we didn't think about them like they think about now. We definitely didn't talk about the things that they talk about now. But they're slowly sexualizing these kids. They're slowly um, emasculating the little boys. They're slowly doing this, and that, so that their end goal is to have a basically a eunuch, a eunuch society that is very pliable and will bend to their will. And boy, they're on par with this because this vision you're having and the revelation that you're talking about all indicate that there's an agenda here. And so, what are Christians supposed to do? I mean, what do we, what can we do at this point in history?
Well, I mean, oh my goodness. I I'll have to say this, man. I've been just kind of fasting and praying lately, and I'll tell you what, this I don't know how to say this. I don't really know how to say this, but I'm just gonna do it. Okay. I do not think this Protestantism that we have today is the church that Jesus Christ died for. Okay. He, I, when, oh man, I really, really believe that he's going to shape things in a different way. Okay. And I do believe that, I hear this a lot. Like I said, I listen to a lot of different kind of preaching because there is a lot of different kind of preaching. One man, I watched this show and he was a Lutheran and he said, "I'm just preparing people for the grave." And that was his whole talking point. And I'm just like, wow, okay. And then another man said, "We should just go home and live a peaceable life, right? We're not part of that world. We don't want to have nothing to do with it." And and that to me is just defeatism. You're defeated. Yeah, I don't. It's too tough to actually stand up. I might lose everything. It's too tough to say the things that really need to be said and the truth that really, the Sermon on the Mount, or other. Jesus spoke these things, and they wanted to kill him. They were ready to stone him because he spoke the truth. And so this defeated mentality is really what's let things run wild. It really has. And I do believe that it's time to, everybody has to do their part. My part is getting people's eyes open to see that there's really much more going on. You talked about me- boys and making them eunuchs, right? Why would what would happen if all of our men in this country just turned into that? We would be weak, defenseless, and somebody would take us over. Okay, so there's more to this than we think. And we allow, as a society, say, well, masculinity is toxic. No, 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 no. It's the way that men teach or how we have taught our children to behave, right? Because think about this. Have you ever, like your life, you were taught how to treat a woman, right? Growing up, maybe your mom taught, but do you know any woman who are taught how to treat a man? It's usually they're taught how a man should treat a woman, but most women don't teach their daughters how to treat a man because I'm a strong woman. I don't need a man or whatever it is. So we teach our men to be subservient to women, and we teach our women to be elevated to a position that, there's no unity. I can't honestly say that I was ever with a woman who said, my mom really taught me how to treat a man. And I don't think I've ever heard that of anybody's mouth. But this is what's happened, right? So we make our men eunuchs and we become weak and frail. And what's that? There's a senator from uh, Hawaii, Mazie Hirono, and they were having a meeting, and the men were speaking up, and she stood up and was like, "Now it's time for the men to just sit down and shut up and let us do this." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Oh, I would, me, I would have flew off the handle right there. Like, how dare you? How dare you tell me that? I am not your servant.
Yeah,
But
that's
this
the
is
scary part
our
about it.
society
Yeah,
now.
yeah. When we now the Bible talks about how men should treat women and women should treat men, but as a society, you're right. Yeah, you're definitely right that you don't see that. You don't see it. As a matter of
No,
fact,
no.
that the society has been careening in the other direction, and we've seen it on TV, especially on TV. Remember, you used to watch it on TV that you would see the nuclear family, Ozzie and Harriet, right? It's kind of um, the prototype of family, right? And you saw it throughout the 50s, you saw it throughout the 60s, at least the beginning of the 60s, and then you started seeing a marked change in the family unit where you were starting to see a disintegration, but it was not an overnight thing. It was like a gradual thing, and they normalized it. They normalized talking bad about dad, mom taking over. Mom was the smart one, dad was the idiot, right? Until now, you've got
Yeah.
TV shows basically where dad is a complete buffoon, and Christians are just nut jobs. We just had a conversation about this just recently about how you used to watch Batman and Robin or all these these shows about the heroes and the villains. It used to be the hero beats the villain. Okay, it was the cowboy beats the bad guys, right? And now, now instead of you even seeing the good guy, all you see is now the evil guy, and that's kind of it's a progressive way of a tearing down of society. And unfortunately, society has been kind of like there's been a hook in our nose or in our jaw, and we're just kind of going. We're walking in that direction like, it's no big deal. Last comment on this though is it's almost like being a frog, right? You can't boil a frog.
It is a frog.
Yeah, you've got to put it in
It is
a
a frog.
you got to put it in a pot, right? And it's got to warm it up until it all of a sudden it finds out. Oh gosh, I'm frog stew or whatever it is now.
And it is that exactly that. Like, you know, but the thing is we allow it, right? We should be smart enough to say no, right? As men to join together and be men and say, I'm not gonna let you treat me like I'm lower. But we don't, right? Because men were taught how to treat a woman with respect and this and that. But women were taught to say, don't ever let a man tell you what to do. Don't do this. Don't I, you know, but and we allowed this to happen to us, right? Where was our who's our moral compass in this in the world, right? Jesus Christ. But we allowed it as the church. We allowed these things to happen, and and like I said, it's slow. It's not overnight. Like you said, it's a slow drip.
Drip,
Did you
drip,
did you
drip. Yeah.
did you get to watch that video of Operation Morningstar? No, I bet you didn't
No,
watch
I've
it.
not, Aaron. Yeah, it's just been
Come on.
so busy. I
This
wish.
would answer so many of your questions. You have no idea how much that video answered so many of my questions of, remember, like you said, the 70s. All of a sudden we saw this change in the 70s, in the 70s, in the 70s. He talks about that, and it's in depth, and it's like inside the government, not um not what everybody sees. Things happen that we have no idea, and this man was in the middle of that, and how why these things progressed on a downward slope. You got to watch it. Oh my goodness.
You know,
I'm telling you, it
I will
answers so
put that
many of
on
your
my
questions.
list of things to do. Yeah, it is. But we'll definitely let's go on to the next story because we'll run out of time
Okay.
if we don't. How about the one April 30th? Want to do that one, or do we want to do the next one after that?
Actually, let me get into the other one, and then I'll let that
Sure.
one at the end, because I think it's just very simple, and I don't really know what it is. But let me get in this other one. So this is October 31st of 2022. So I was at this art show, and I'm looking at this art, and I'm walking around. I'm like, man, this is all ugly. But yet this is what they're presenting to us. Oh, this is amazing. Like, look at this great art. And I'm thinking to myself, this is horrible. And as I speak about this dream, I want you to think about today, what's happening today, what we're seeing today. Okay. So all these things they're presenting to us is just ugly, horrible art. But they're trying to really work it up. Oh, this is amazing. And so I'm like, oh, I could do so much better. In my dream, I'm thinking to myself. And then this lady comes up and she's like, hey, do you want some? They had like a big buffet table. And she said, you want some of the food you take home? We're going to have a bunch of leftover. I'm like, sure. And so I'm trying to load up this to go bag of food. And every time I would put something, a lady would snatch it from me, and another person would snatch it from me. And I, I just felt like these were liberal people. Let's put it that way. You feel the dark and the cold, or the dark and the love of people, but they just kept taking it from me. Somebody else. So, um, and inside I was so hungry. Like, here is my product, here is my thing, but yet they're snatching it away from me. She keeps snatching it away from me. So, anyways, then I walked outside of the art show, and I was in a theme park, and all these people, the theme of the park were pirates. Okay. And so all these people who worked there were wearing these black t-shirts that said friendship team. I'm on the friendship team. And so they were trying to be like, hey, come on, let's have a good time. And I knew it was fake. And because it had this almost mystic witchcraft feeling behind it. They were trying to portray themselves as, "We love you. Come on, come in. Let the friendship team help you." But I felt like, oh, I felt dirty being there. You could say, and they were, so they were just portraying that we love you and we're your friend. Come on. And so I think I spoke about this before, but I wanted to give the whole context of the dream. As I walked down to the water, there was a ship that went in a little circle around the island. It was like a big pirate ship, and it was just full of people, and they were just having a good time. Everybody's happy. And so I went on and I saw President Trump in a cage, and they had him in the cage in the middle of the ship. So I put on a cop's uniform and pretended like I was going to take him away. And when I came up, and he looked defeated, he was sitting in the corner and he just looked like, ugh. And I came up to him and I was like, "Hey, I'm here to help." And then I woke up. And you know, I'm what do I as we're talking and I'm seeing like today, right? Everything they're presenting to us. Oh, Kamala, I saw a video today. It was on MSNBC, and it was two pastors from New York saying how she grew up in the church and she was her faith is just amazing, and Kamala is just this awesome Christian, and we should just embrace that. And she embraces Christ, and I'm like the whole time I'm like, you're a man of God, and you're lying to the people. You know, you are just so we've heard it a million times. Every Christian has used it on their podcast. The man spoke out. God is, or Jesus Christ is king, and she said you're in the wrong rally. Okay, we've heard it a million times already, but a week later, we paid some pastors to come on the show and say how what a great Christian she is, and her mom worked on Sundays, and the neighbors took her to church every week, and she was just grew up with this faith in Jesus. And then I heard her preaching, or not preaching, but speaking at two churches, and one of them you didn't see, you saw somebody heckling her, but you didn't see. And then somebody was in the church videotaping that person, and they were kicking people out of the church. No, 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 you got to. They were having their security taking those people out. The second one, they went off. I'd say probably a lot of people in there just went off on her when she was, speaking. And she's like, "Well, those are your freedom. You got to protect that." But you could see in her face, it was just red and like, ugh. People see it. Not everybody's going to see it, but people see that this is just something, right? It's an art show, right? And it's beautiful. No, it's not. This is ugly. And it's all ugly. And then, okay, so what's going to happen, right? Oh, food. Like, I need my food. And they're just taking it away from me every time. Like, I would get some and, like, no, that's ours. No, that's ours. Okay. So this is what we see today. And the friendship team, oh my goodness, they were all witches, I'll tell you what. So there's that.
I love this. This
But
is amazing. Because you
yeah.
remember in the book of Daniel, and talks about the Lord, that the king was telling Daniel these dreams, and he was going, "Hey, guess what? These dreams are all the same thing. There, you had three different dreams or two different dreams, and they were actually the same dream. They were telling you the same thing was going on." This I see as the same sort of thing. That the first dream about the art show, and then the one about the pirates in the theme park, are basically the same thing. They're talking about the same thing. They're just telling a different version of the story. And even as you're kind of explaining to me, I was going, "Yep, I see that. I see that story right there." It's an art show. Yeah, it's supposed to be something beautiful, right? But it's not. It's ugly. And once again, they're taking, and it's almost like the American people are being sold this thing. They're going, "Look, it's beautiful. Don't. Yeah, it is beautiful. Go ahead, have some. Oh, yeah, nah, yeah, it's beautiful, right?" The same thing you were talking about. And same thing with the pirates. What do pirates do? Pirates are thieves.
Oh, they plunder.
They plunder, right?
They
They're
plunder.
not, even if they're in a theme park, they are pirates, right? You're in a nice place, it's wonderful, but you cannot change a pirate's MO. They're pirate. They kill and they steal. And so I see the same story going along here. And are the American people right now, once again, we don't know who's going to win the election, but we do know what the Lord is showing you through these visions. and that one is of deception. That the American people are being sold a bill of goods saying that something is what it's not, and that it's going to be taken from you. And even though the American people are hungry, right? They're so hungry. That's what you were saying. He says, "I was so hungry," and then but people are snatching it back from me. The American people are hungry.
Yeah.
They're hungry not only financially, but they're hungry for leadership, right? They're hungry for
Yeah.
direction. They're hungry for hope, and it's being taken from them. So
Yeah.
this is amazing. I love this. Um, and
Yeah.
President Trump,
Even the
yeah, the only thing
in the
about
ca-
Trump is
yeah.
like a pit bull. Trump is in a cage, right? Okay, he's uh, describe Trump again for me, because I know you said that he looked like he was dejected, but go ahead and do it again.
Yeah, he was just sitting in the corner, like kind of, just he looked defeated, right? But I really believe that it's just like, let's say, they think they have him in this cage, right? But me, the body, I'm here to help. This is our prayer. This is our, spiritual battle. We're here to help you. Okay. You we know who you are. We know what your call is, and we're here to help. I got you. And so yeah.
Let me pull out one last thing, because you pretended you were a cop, right?
Yes.
What is a cop? He's a
Well, he's
first
supposed to be
responder.
somebody's justice.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be, that's stand up for justice, protecting the people, to protect and serve. You could say.
Yeah, yeah. A cop is somebody who's going to rescue you, right? He's gonna save you or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
and that that I wish I could put it into words, that justice is going to prevail. Justice is going to come in to free him from this cage. Justice, or a first responder, because everybody, President Trump is the law and order president, right? So he's basically running on law and order. And we know the other side is really not very much about law. They're definitely not anything about order. But the thing that needs to unchain him is, because he's been in a cage for a long time, right? I mean, he's been lawfare, all the things that have been, the last 8 years have been, keeping this guy in chain. But the thing that is going to free him is justice, is,
Yeah.
a first responder.
Justice.
Justice. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. I have never seen somebody treated so badly. You know what I mean? I mean, him, his friends, the people that work for them. You have all these people going to prison, right? Because they were on Trump's team. Okay. Anybody, they could find any little thing about anybody. Oh, you lied to the FBI. You didn't say that properly. Prison, 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 Stone, all these people, right? And him. I mean, gosh, I saw a story. Oh, you got to see it. I'll send it to you. Let me, would you want to read the last one and I'll explain it to you how I find this? Because you got to see, this is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So that basically, this is just something to watch out for. I think it's
Oh,
almost
hang
like a
on, hang on,
sign.
Aaron.
Like,
Hang on one second. I actually was muted on
yeah.
that. So let me read that one more time, okay? It says, I saw a
Oh,
big company, and I don't know who was going to fall, and it was because they stole the first year's profit, of the first year's profit. He says, I'm not 100% sure. Okay. I'm sorry. I was muted at
yeah.
that time. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is just something to watch out for. Like, it's not maybe, I mean, it's I know it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. It's basically a big company, a household name that everybody knows is going to fall. It's going to fail because they actually stole from the first year's profits. They didn't, what however it was, but they stole from the first year's profits from the first quarter. That's what I got. So not really 100% sure about who it is, what it is. That's all I saw. So this is like something that to watch out for. Maybe it's almost like testing or testing my fruit. Maybe I guess you could say. I don't know, but it was very clear, very like, hey, here it is. So let me read this to you, and this should give you some real hope. Okay, this is a what Reddit post, and the person who posted it was witches versus the patriarchy. Okay, I know it already sounds horrible, but so um, some other witches have mentioned that they're doing spells directly against Trump. The spells they're doing against directly against Trump are not as effective as we might hope. He seems to have some kind of protection around him. A freezer spell against Project 2025 would be useful, but I wouldn't give the Cheeto any more attention right now. He hates to be ignored. A lot of people are taking this opportunity to do protection and uplifting kinds of spells to help Kamala and Democrats rather than attacking the other side. An awesome spell can be repeated many times. The blue wave spell, blah blah blah. So basically they're trying to cast spells on him, and he has something around him that's protecting him.
And we all think I think we all know what that is.
We do know what it is. This is that right there that we're talking about, right? They're trying to
Yes.
put him in that cage,
Oh yeah.
and somebody came up and said, I got you, I'm here to help.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because past. So one of the things that, and we were contacted about this in 2016. Yeah, in 2016, we were contacted by the Trump team, and it actually preceded that he actually started organizing this. Many of you've heard of Paula White, and Paula White is a she's got a church down in Florida, and she has been President Trump's spiritual advisor since I don't know 2012 or whatever it's been. But one of the things that she mentioned was that he came to her in 2014, 2016, or whatever it was, or 2015, and said, "Hey, I think the Lord wants me to run for office." And they started praying for him. Well, they contacted people all around the nation and created a coalition of pastors who were praying in every state. And we just happen to be one the people they contacted here in the state of Nevada. It has gotten much bigger now. So we are on a call every month, 80,000 pastors that are praying for Donald Trump. Recently, you've probably seen this where Trump is being um, circled by pastors praying for him. Now, I know a lot of people say that he's not a Christian. Okay, that I'm not. It's neither here nor there. We do know the company he keeps, and the company he keeps is a lot of pastors. I can tell you right now. So for a guy who's not a Christian, okay, and that's between him and God, he sure is suspiciously surrounded himself by a lot of pastors. So that's probably why these witches are saying, "Hey, he's got this thing around him that they can't seem to get through." And maybe that's the reason why all of these lawsuits, all this lawfare, have cut him, but none of them have stopped this man from the mission that he has set out to do.
It's even they're complaining that they can't hurt him. I mean, I saw. Do you know who Johnny Ramirez is? Do you know who that is? He's a pastor from New York, uh, and
No, no, I don't
he
think so.
used to be a in the satanic cult, like very high up in the satanic cult. And one day Jesus came to him and he got saved. And he said that he used to cast spells like that on people. And when he would go to a place or whatever, when he tried to do that and there was Christians praying, he said, I would see them in the spirit and they were with robes, like bright light, and they were holding hands, and I could never get through that circle. I knew that I was going to be in trouble with my God if I didn't break through that, and I never could. And I was like, that's crazy. I'm like, that you're just like, wow, a lot of people would say, no, 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 that's not real, but it is so real.
It is
I mean,
definitely
here,
real,
that
man.
definitely 100%. I mean, we all have a soul. What makes that soul, what makes us us is something that we can't just explain. It's not just chemicals in the brain that makes me like broccoli and you not like broccoli. There's something behind that.
or
And
or just
you know,
just animates you so that you can actually walk.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
makes you walk and talk? They don't know what that is, but we know what that is.
Yeah.
The Lord says, that I knit you together in your mother's womb. I knew you before you were even born. I numbered the hairs on your head. He said, guess what? You're fearfully and wonderfully made, and I've got plans for your life. So we know what it is, and Satan knows what it is, and those witches know what it is. They know
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
they know exactly. I said that this week, and they know exactly what it is because they read the Bible too to understand what they think they're fighting against. But it's not. You're not going to win. I don't understand. People want power. I want to be able to I want the power, but there's a dark side and a light side. It's like everything. There's light and darkness, but the light will always overpower. You can't measure darkness. You can only measure light,
You
right? You
better
can't
believe it.
measure you can't measure cold, but you can measure the heat, right? So that's what we're measuring. We're measuring heat in the water. That's what tells you how hot it is, but you don't measure how cold it is. You measure the heat in the water, the amount of heat, whatever. But the same thing with light. You don't measure the darkness, you measure the amount of lumens.
That's good. And the light shines on everything. Aaron, we've got to let you go, brother. Thank you so much. Been a great show today. Can't wait. Once again, folks, I told you at the beginning of the show that I'd let you know about where Aaron's going to be at and our study in the prophetic. We're at 6660 Bubbling Brook Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89107. If you can't make it to Las Vegas, folks, watch us online. We will be on our YouTube channel, or we will be on, I think we simulcast it for our Sagestone Church channel on Facebook. So you can either come to us in Vegas, okay? Write us at sagestonechurch@gmail.com. It's Sagestone, okay, all one word, sagestonechurch@gmail.com. We'll send you the address and everything else. Or you can get us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, which is Sagestone Church, or on our Facebook page, which is Sagestone Facebook page. Okay? I think I got that all on. I think I did. Hope
job.
I didn't confuse everybody. If not, just go ahead and leave a message in the bottom of our, the bottom of the comment section here, and we'll get back with you, and we will definitely we'll get that out to you. Aaron, once again, brother, thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast. Can't wait to get with you on Wednesday and watch a little bit of movie time, and then next week we'll be doing another study in the prophetic. Amen.
All right, man.
All right, we'll see you later, brother.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. And thank you, folks, for being a part of the broadcast. Wasn't that a wonderful time that we had in the Lord? God is just a good God, and we want to thank Him for providing Aaron with his insight and some of the. I think some of his visions were just spot on today. If you liked what you've seen today, folks, write us at ThisWeekInProphecy@gmail.com. ThisWeekInProphecy@gmail.com, and we will answer back. We'll get back to you as quickly as we can, or leave a comment in the comment section below us. We will definitely get back to you, folks. Well, this has been Pastor Sherman Ray for This Week in Prophecy. Thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast, you guys. We will see you again next week for This Week in Prophecy. You guys be blessed. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.